about the auto numbers trickling in. Escorts tractor sales for the month of June have seen a decline of nearly 17% on a year-on-year basis. The management says the dip is on account of destocking for GST. Bharat Madan, the CFO of the company, joins in for more color. Good morning and thanks so much for joining in. Has the GST impact completely played out in June, or do you expect some effects to linger on in the month of July? And what should be the monthly run rate from here on?
No, I think this was supposed to be the transition effect which anybody was expecting, with the issues which we still have from the tractor industry perspective on the transition stocks. So anybody was expecting the dealer inventory creation will happen in this month. Though I think the levels of inventory are pretty low with the dealers, so obviously this will get made up in July. I think the billing will continue now post GST. So I'm sure, I think on a full first half basis, I don't think there will be much impact. So demand on the ground, like you said, is pretty good. On the retail side, we see 12% growth happening in June, which is almost 8,000 plus tractor which is sold out. So I'm sure, I think overall the sentiments are positive and numbers should look good going forward.
Bharat, good morning. But just for the month of June gone by, you've seen a bit of a month-on-month decline. Is this decline in line with the industry decline, more than industry decline, or have you fared better than industry?
I think this time it will be very difficult to judge because every player has got its own call on how the transition stocks impact will have to be taken. So we are taking a conscious call to correct the stocks of the dealers and not minimize the impact basically on the transition side. So I think it will be very difficult to judge the number of industry on a pure June month basis. I think we must look at the June and July combined month. A lot of billing will happen in July now post GST. So I think maybe next month we'll get a better picture. But overall, like I said, I think the retails have been high. The consumption story doesn't change. So we've seen growth happening on that side by about 12%. So overall quarter is still 10 to 12% growth for the industry, and that should continue.
This all normalizes, Bharat, just to understand, because things are fairly confusing. What is a monthly run rate in terms of per unit? I mean, number of units that we can expect. Do you hope to get back to 7,000 plus sort of levels? By when can that happen?
No, so like you said, the next quarter again is going to be a season quarter. You see festive season starting in September, so you'll see a bumper month actually happening on the September side. So I think the average, I think for the first half for the company will remain somewhere around 6,500 to 7,000 sort of range.
Okay, you see H1 numbers will be, not affected. What you've lost in June will be made up in the coming quarters. So for the full year, what is your expectation of tractor growth in terms of sales, and how would it compare with the industry?
So we had given an indication it will be double-digit growth expected this year. So anywhere between 10 to 15% sort of growth is possible in this year on a full-year basis. And H1 definitely is looking stronger as of now. I think all the festive season happens to be in this particular period. So we expect maybe H1 will show a good growth rate. And maybe H2 will be slightly lower, but still I think overall for the full-year basis with a good monsoon prediction, I think things are going to look very strong.
Okay, last year H2 started with a bang. In October, I think you had the highest sales, almost 9,000 with back-to-back good monsoon. But with base effect having caught up, what kind of numbers do you think you'll be able to report in second half?
No, so this time the season is getting preponed to September. So the festival will start from September itself. You've got Navratras happening in December. So all the 9-10 auspicious days will happen in this period. So you'll see probably the Q2 will be much stronger this time compared to Q3.
So, Bharat, now that I guess you would have done the calculations at your end in terms of how much ITC benefit flows through, how vendors are dealing with it, is there any possibility of any sort of price changes, any price tinkering whatsoever? And if yes, what bearing could that have on market share?
So there has been some price changes definitely will happen because the tax impact on the tractor now is about 12% compared to whatever earlier VAT was only 5% and factor tax which we are bearing was close to 12-13%. So there's a 1% plus or minus which can happen. So depending on each player how they really play it out in the industry, and for us I think it will be about half to 1% saving which will be there, which obviously will get neutralized with the sort of transition impact which will have to bear of the stocks lying with the dealers and in our depots. So because that's one issue which still there is no clarity from the government as of now. So I think overall we expect on the full year basis there will not be any significant impact on the profitability. No downside, no upside I would say. I think that remain more or less same post GST scenario also.
Did you have to resort to discounts in the month of June? If yes, what would be can you quantify them? And when you say profitability will be intact, are you on track to achieve your vision of 13 to 15% of EBIT margins for the tractor business this year?
So there have not been any extraordinary discounting in June because of the GST sale, but this we did promote the retail sales. So there has been some incentive scheme which have been floated for the consumers, especially for the B2C segment. They need to push the delivery numbers to reduce the stocks. But that's again, like you said, is a one-off. It's only for this particular month in the transition period, and it's not going to continue. So the idea was to cut down on the inventory levels for this channel, which has happened. I think it's the purpose which we wanted to achieve.
Okay, Bharat, thanks a lot for your time today. I think the market